We're here to inspire, inform, and connect a community of entrepreneurs. This is Business Rockstars, and this is my rock star, Armen Gharabegian. He is the CEO and founder of ShadeCraft. Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. I'm really happy to be here.
Good, welcome. And tell me right away, what is ShadeCraft?
Well, ShadeCraft was a dream that came true this year as we launched at CES. ShadeCraft primarily is focused on improving human life outdoors through robotic technology. That's our mission.
And you have your first product. It's called Sunflower. Describe what it is.
Correct. Sunflower is the world's first automated robotic autonomous parasol that follows the sun. It plays your music, connects you to the Internet of Things, provides security. It has machine learning, works with solar energy, and we're really excited to launch it.
So you're combining a few worlds here, right? So in layman's terms, what worlds are you really combining here?
Well, in essence, we brought the Internet of Things outdoors for the first time in a meaningful way. We believe that the parasol was the most logical way to bring the IoT outdoors and have AI connectivity in a product. You wouldn't necessarily speak to your barbecue or, let's say your chaise lounge. But the parasol is a really viable object to collect solar energy. And as a result of that, the automation is something that is an added plus because the automation allows the object to follow the sun in the optimum way to collect the best amount of energy. But because of that, it can retain its energy throughout the day, so it can be on without any electricity and connect to the Internet of Things through AI. And you can speak to it, which is a fantastic thing.
So how did you come up with this idea?
It actually, 2006, summer, I was with my kids outdoors, and I've always wanted to design innovative shading systems. But at that time, technology wasn't as prevalent as it is today with all the sensors that are available to us today. And we were trying to move the parasol around, and then I asked my son to go and get a speaker so we can listen to music as I was trying to barbecue, and et cetera. And it just makes sense to combine some of these technologies. We have the technology in a lot of other things, but I don't think anyone kind of attempted to put all of this outdoors for the first time. And I think that's something that really, it's got its challenges, but from heat, just weather, a lot of other challenges that we have to face. But I think, for us, it was exciting to go through that challenge.
And then a lot of times in entrepreneurship, whenever you can, at least, you want to test things out to make sure there's a market for things. So that's going to be kind of tricky when I'm sure there's a lot of investment that goes into creating this kind of product. So how do you test these things out?
It's a really smart question. It's a question that's been brought up, especially, as you can imagine, from people who are interested in investing in the company. Really, we don't have, we can't really go out and say, what do you think about, is there any study done on intelligent parasol systems? If everyone thought that way, then we would not have any innovative items around. So I think that what we are doing, in essence, is creating Sunflower's own industry, which is, for the first time, we kind of made parasols that were designed prior to Sunflower, all a thing of the past. We did not look at just the parasol industry and shading industry. We looked at the smart home industry. When people are outdoors, they need connectivity. They need AI integration outdoors. They needed speakers outdoors. They wanted to charge their phone outdoors, et cetera. They wanted a security camera that could move around. So what we did is we looked at multiple industries, and what we are doing is actually combining them.
Right.
So at the heart of this, I think we've effectively disrupted two industries. We've effectively disrupted the parasol industry and the IoT by bringing it outdoors for the first time.
What are some of the other obstacles that you encounter when you're pitching to investors?
You're always going to have skeptics, and this is for entrepreneurs that are younger and people who are setting up with their new businesses every day. And one of the things you're going to hear constantly is there are going to be people that are going to be skeptics. I remember a gentleman last year, almost last year, asked me the question, why would I need an intelligent umbrella outside my home? I said, I can answer, give you 10 reasons why you would need one, but if you can answer why you would need an intelligent toilet, I would explain to you why you would need an intelligent umbrella. So, for example, there's a successful company, Toto, that sells toilets upwards of thousands of dollars, right? So it has no cameras, thank God.
Yeah, right.
It doesn't play music. It doesn't connect you to the Internet of Things. And yet people spend money to purchase it. And so there's going to be skeptics. And the most important thing I would say to the young entrepreneur is people aspiring to create a business, even if you're older and you want to start a new thing, there's always going to be 10 reasons why something's not necessarily going to work. And you should carefully analyze them and tactically understand why they're not working. But you shouldn't dwell on it. You should believe in the one reason that it will. And that's my,
advice.
I think that's my, and that's a quote. The quote actually goes, forget the 10 reasons why it won't work and believe in the one. And in a business environment, I think you have to be more prudent and responsible. So I wouldn't say forget the 10 reasons. I would say understand the 10 reasons, analyze them, but then don't dwell on them and believe in the one that will.
And you have investors on board, correct?
Correct.
So tell me about, give me a little bit of insight into the investors that you've gotten on board and what that's like.
Well, first and foremost, our focus has been to, we were successful enough, we're blessed actually. We initially went out for a raise for seed round, and we doubled that based on people's faith and belief in the product. And we are opening up the doors to the next series now. And our goal is to primarily finish up the betas to have the consumers in the U.S. test it. And I know that the world's waiting for this, but first it's going to be for the U.S. consumer. And once the U.S. consumer gives their opinion, it'll go to the rest of the world. I'm really proud that it's an American company. We want to manufacture here. I know we're swimming, upstream, but it's been a paradigm for my other company as well. Launch 22, we built in the U.S. and we built in L.A. And we know we can do it.
Very cool. Well, so much more when we come back with my guest, Armen Gharabegian. He's the CEO and founder of ShadeCraft, and we are here to inspire, inform, and connect a community of entrepreneurs. This is Business Rockstars. We are here to inspire, inform, and connect a community of entrepreneurs. This is Business Rockstars, and this is my rock star, Armen Gharabegian. He is the CEO and founder of ShadeCraft. And we were just talking about how you manufacture in LA, and that's unique. That's very unique. What are some of the challenges and insights that you maybe have for manufacturing in the US?
Well, I think first and foremost, we want to manufacture in the U.S. It just makes sense. We have incredible technology, incredible labor. Of course, there's sensors and companies around the world that partake in any robotic project that we would need to basically work on. However, I think there's enough industries here and a lot of experts and companies that are at our fingertips, literally from the aircraft industry to other industries that are in LA. I think it's a gold mine.
So first of all, know that it's possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think anything is possible. I think part of the challenge is not finding the resources to manufacture something in LA. I think the challenge has to do with the consumer understanding that it's not just a inexpensive product that could be manufactured without quality in different parts of the world. I think when the consumer is educated and cares about the fact that it is coming from the U.S. and it's from a U.S. company, I think that paradigm shift will allow companies to really focus in. The price point is the issue. Obviously, our goal is to make objects and robots that are affordable to the mass. However, as we launch, especially with Sunflower, the initial Sunflowers might not be that readily accessible to every consumer. Our goal is to make less expensive product, and as we scale up in terms of economy of scale, I think that we could work with vendors in the U.S. I think if we all come together, instead of sort of working against each other sometimes, which is the challenge we see, I think that we can make this work.
Yeah, and you used to be a professor, or are you still a professor?
I wish I was. My time doesn't permit.
I would imagine. Okay, so you used to be a professor, and that's something that you would really teach your students is how to think outside of the box. So how do you teach that?
Well, it's a mindset. I think that we're so conditioned from the time that we leave our house every red light we have to stop at. And then when you go basically to a building, your office, you take generally the same amount of steps to get into your office, take the same amount of steps to get to your bathroom. Our lives are conditioned. So when you start looking at things from outside that perspective, for example, VR is going to open up a whole new world. When you can fly into your office like a bug, you're going to be able to travel in a different way, and that's going to open up a lot of creativity. Whatbox was a course that I was teaching about thinking differently and approaching things from a slightly different context. I think that's one of the things that makes children so fascinating and so creative. As they grow, this is not necessarily a table for children, because this is it's much higher than them.
Right.
So they see it as a canopy. So they experience this as an unusual canopy by the time they actually get to our height. And so then it becomes a table, because as soon as it's off the ground at a certain height, we immediately think of it as a table. I think Whatbox allows people to just open up and think differently.
So yeah, how do you unlearn that conditioning?
By trying to focus on it, actually. It's a series of exercises. So I think if you kind of change your perspective and look at something in a different way, for example, classes where you sit against the wall instead of necessarily behind desks, it changes your perspective.
Interesting.
I used to do that with my students. We used to sit at the edge of the wall, and it changes the dynamic and the way you work with people, and
So you had to stop being a professor, but you do still run your 2 other companies. So you have 3 companies. How do you balance it all?
Well, the goal is that in the next couple of years, as 2 of my companies are more on autopilot, I would kind of step away and be the president of those companies and allow a CEO to come in and continue them. My passion right now in the next 15, 20 years is in mechatronics and robotics, and trying to really help people outdoors. And it's not just about leisure and pleasure. We're interested in designing objects that can help people in disaster areas, help the military. I think our robotics explorations dealing with outdoors and how do we bring computers outdoors, how do they live outdoors with solar energy, I think those things will allow multiple other industries to utilize ShadeCraft technology.
That's where you're going.
So, that's where I'm going.
Big vision ahead.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. Such interesting and fascinating stuff.
Thank you.
Whole new world to me, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners and viewers. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Armen Gharabegian, he's the CEO and founder of ShadeCraft. We are here to inspire, inform, and connect a community of entrepreneurs. This is Business Rockstars.